Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Keith, let's talk some Star Wars, and today I'll make a list of my favorite movies. Why? Because I just want some good fun ranking my movies from worst to best. This is the part where you get to go and join the discussion, rank your movies from worst to best. Of course, mine's going to be different from yours. It kind of always says, I already did a list already on my other channel, but that's kind of old, I want to update it on this channel, so you know what my current state is with Star Wars. So, let's get to it. Number 12, Star Wars Holiday Special. Number 11, Clone Wars series, the movie. Number 10,
I don't like sand.
Attack of the Clones. Now, this is actually the first real movie on the list. Attack of the Clones is the reason why it's on the bottom of the list is because it's cringy. You shouldn't cringe during a Star Wars movie, and this movie has it. Now, in its defense, what makes this movie great is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I hate it when he does that.
Without him, this movie would be crap. It would. Anakin and Padme, all that love-related stuff, it just does not work half the time. So, I understand what they're going for. It's a love movie, because in order for Star Wars to work, you need to have them in love. I understand that, but the execution of it was horrible. But everything else about the movie, I love. Obi-Wan, the Kamino, Jango Fett, Count Dooku, the battle at the end, the fact that it started the Clone Wars, I like it. But it's the fact that the love stuff is what the movie is supposed to be about. The love stuff isn't great, isn't good. Everything around it, or everything else in the movie is good, except that part, which is what the movie's supposed to be about. But it failed horribly at it, so that's why it's on the bottom of the list. At number 10. Number 9. So number 9 is The Phantom Menace. And the reason why it's also on the bottom of the list as well, not that I don't hate these movies, I do like them, I do like watching them, but The Phantom Menace is a movie that I don't know the plot to even to this day, because I understand that there is a trade federation that they need to blow up, but why, I don't know. There's like this orb as well that I've seen in many video games, many just, I don't know, I haven't seen the movie in a while, but I've seen it enough to kind of be confused by the plot. Now, I could just look up the Wikipedia page of it, but I don't want to know. I don't want to look at a Wikipedia page. The plot should be really easy to follow. I understand that basically the movie starts out with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan doing something, in the trade ship or whatever, and they go on a Naboo and they find Jar Jar and they go to the underwater world, which they go to the palace in Naboo, then they go to, and they were caught up by the other ships, and they got one on Tatooine to hide out, and that's where they found Anakin. That's what I know. Till up to that point, then they leave by going to the pod race and all that kind of stuff. But look, the reason why it's on the bottom of the list is because it's just placed there. With everything else that's above it, it deserves it. Because the movie that I can actually watch without being totally confused, I am less confused with the Phantom Menace than I am with Attack of the Clones, but I do like the Phantom Menace for introducing the prequel trilogy into this world, because some of the locations like Coruscant, Naboo, they're beautiful places that I would love to visit. Honestly, he doesn't want to be in a giant planet of a city. That's kind of really, really cool to be in. So that's why Phantom Menace is at the bottom.
Everything you've heard about me is true.
I guess the record, just to everything from this list on is actually I like, and I can actually rewatch. Number 8, we have a Solo, the first of the Disney Star Wars movies. Now, Solo is the reason why it's down here as well is because it is basically a standardized movie. Movie starts out slow, but then eventually picks up and actually gets, it takes a while for it to get going, but once it does get going, it's kind of a good movie. That doesn't mean that it's entertaining. I mean, it's entertaining, but is it funny? No. It's not boring. It's just entertaining. That's basically what this movie is. So it's number 8. Number 7.
All of it.
The Force Awakens is number 7. And the reason why it is number 7 is because I enjoy this movie. I think it's a pretty good movie. When this movie came out, everyone was hyped about it. But even when I first saw it, I knew it was going to be near the bottom of the list. Or kind of in the middle-ish, I should say now. But the reason why it's here is because I was disappointed when I saw this movie. I felt like it wasn't to its potential. And that's what it is for all these Disney movies. They're all just not to their potential. I expect it to be flashier, bigger, be awesome, a classic. But it kind of is, but kind of isn't. The Force Awakens is one of those movies which it basically retold the same story from A New Hope. I was in the movies here, and I literally said they're going to blow up Star Killer Base, and that is what they did. And I figured that out pretty much an hour before it actually happened. So if I can figure out a plot, I'm pretty sure millions of other people figured it out as well. That's why it's at number 7. I enjoy this movie, but maybe it should have an original plot.
It's time for the Jedi to end.
Number 6 is The Last Jedi. And frankly enough, it is in the exact middle of my 12 movies I have. It is number 6 in the exact middle. Because I am both like this movie and I both hate this movie. Now, the reason why it is in the middle, mostly because of the division of the fan base. I don't want to make anyone mad, but not to let anything outside affect me, I generally do like this movie. The reason it is one above The Force Awakens because it has an original plot. I was going to make it below Force Awakens, but then I saw that wouldn't work out because it had an original plot. And I was actually really invested into the movie all the way through. When you first watch the movie for the first time, you will realize that it is kind of scary because you don't know what's going to happen, which is a first for a Star Wars movie in a long time, I should say. And also leaves the door open for Episode 9. So whether you hate it or not, it is in the middle, so no one's really gonna be mad. Alright? I don't like the movie, but I like certain things in it. That's why The Last Jedi is perfectly in the middle. Number 5.
It's a trap!
Return of the Jedi is number 5. Because before, when I made my previous list, I didn't really give much reason why Return of the Jedi was number 5. If I remember correctly, I basically said that it wasn't a good movie, or something like that. Or I made it sound like it wasn't a good movie, but it is a really good movie. It's the end of the original trilogy. And you may say, oh, it's number 5, it should be up a little bit higher. I disagree, and you'll see why in a couple of minutes. But Return of the Jedi is a nice end to the classic trilogy, and basically, if this cannot end any perfectly. I think the Ewoks are a fine addition to a final movie. It adds something, because each movie adds something to it, and Ewoks are a good thing to add into the trilogy. Basically, a bunch of primitive creatures in a foresty planet. And you may see this is probably the one that has the least kind of special effects, where you can actually see the special effects, where you can see, like when they're going to the Sarlacc pit, when Luke and Han are talking, you can clearly see it there behind a green screen. Now, does that mean it's bad? No, it's 1983. CGI isn't its biggest point yet. There isn't really much CGI. That's basically all there is with CGI, I think, at that time. So it makes sense that the special effects will be kind of lowered down. It is the third movie in the trilogy. I think the reason why this movie is so kind of hated by people is because of Empire Strikes Back and how that movie was so good. How could Return of the Jedi live up to that? I don't think it can. But it did the best it can, and it gave us the final trilogy, which I think everyone likes, and I like it as well. And it happily stays at number 5.
Rogue One.
Number 4 is Rogue One. Now, Rogue One is probably the best Disney Star Wars film ever. It is the Star Wars movie. It feels like Star Wars. I really like Rogue One. I think that I can rewatch this and think to myself, this is actually what happened in the Star Wars galaxy before A New Hope took place. Now, Rogue One, I wouldn't have it any differently except for the characters actually being more interesting, because when they do die off, you make them feel something. Now, certain characters I do feel something, like when K2SO died, you actually felt sad because he's the comic relief, and you actually laughed a lot as banter. So when he did die, it felt really sad. But with everyone else, you don't really care. I do not know the names except for 3 characters, or technically 4, which are Jin, Cassian, K2SO, and Director Krennic. Those are the only 4 characters I know that are new to the movie. Everyone else I do not know or do not care for, because that's what this movie's meant to be. A movie where you don't care about anyone except for a select few, being Darth Vader, Tarkin, the Rebel Alliance, and the Death Star itself. You only care about those few things. Everyone else you do not care for. You are only along the ride with them until their eventual death. But it does not mean it gave us the best third act of the entire movie, which really held this movie up to number 4, which kind of says a lot, because third acts are big, but not usually this big, where you really have this great battle, which I love very much, and that's basically what you should watch. Skip the rest of the movie and go to the third act, because it's probably the best in all of Star Wars, including the Darth Vader scene at the end.
Hello there.
Number 3 is Revenge of the Sith. Now, originally this movie was number 1 on my list last time, but I moved it down to number 3 because this movie has almost everything you want in a Star Wars movie. It has lightsaber combat, the most lightsaber fights in all of in any movie. It has basically the opening is what Star Wars is. It's literally a war in the skies. Like, it's literally Star Wars. Like, I love the opening to this movie. It explains what you know it is. You don't need to watch the other 2 prequel movies. If you watch the first 5 minutes of the Revenge of the Sith, will explain everything that's going on just by showing us. So the reason why it is on number 3 and not number 1 is because it doesn't have the detail as the other 2 slots have. So once I go to those, you will understand why. But this movie does not have detail when it comes to layers in the details, like what characters do, like their actions, their motions. Sure, they have a couple of it, but not, explanations of why characters move in that way or whatever. It's hard to explain without showing you specific details. But hopefully I explained it quite enough. So I really like Revenge of the Sith. It is my favorite prequel movie, even above Rogue One, as literally even the last movie I looked over was Rogue One. So Revenge of the Sith is a really good movie, and you should go watch it because it does explain the conflict in the original trilogy. And this movie is a what-if movie. Like, what if this character died in that scene, or what if this character didn't come to the room at that scene? Everything is a what-if, and everything lined up perfectly for Darth Vader to arise, and for the Empire to rise as well. So Revenge of the Sith is happily going to stay at number 3, until maybe I put it back at number 1, who knows.
You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take it away!
Number 2 is A New Hope. Now, this is a classic. Come on, I can rewatch this movie all the time. Every scene I can just look over and over again, because it just has that hero's journey in it, which I can just watch any scene, and I can just watch it over and over again, because that's how much rewatchable it is. It's probably the most rewatched movie. It's what started this franchise altogether, but it's at number 2, because it is good, but it's not as good as number 1, so I don't know, I can't say anything else, because I don't know what else to say. It's a pretty good movie. It's almost near perfect. Except number 1 is a bit more perfect than number 2.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
Number 1 is, of course, Empire Strikes Back. I think this is no surprise, unless you are a prequel kid. Then you think Revenge of the Sith is number 1, like I did originally, but I looked over Empire Strikes Back again, and I realized this movie has so much detail in it, and if you actually explain why certain characters do certain things, it really makes sense. Like when Luke is actually going to fight Darth Vader, he puts his blaster down because he realized that he doesn't need it, which I didn't even notice. Or seeing snakes in Yoda's kind of hut, which I did not notice until years prior. This movie has a lot of detail. It's really built to be a really suspenseful movie without it being really suspenseful. You do not feel like the characters are going to lose until they actually end the movie where they do lose. You always feel that they are going to win, which they don't. Which is pretty damn kinda weird in a movie where you expect the heroes to win, but they don't win at the end. The bad guys win, which is probably what movies should do, but not every movie. Infinity War, for example, had the heroes losing, which makes it a good movie. If the heroes did win, it would just feel like another Marvel movie. But with Star Wars, if the heroes won, the outcome would probably be very different for Return of the Jedi. But Empire Strikes Back is a good, perfect movie, which anyone should watch. It's probably the Star Wars movie that you probably know. Even if you are a fan or not a fan, if you're just a casual viewer who never seen a Star Wars movie, you probably think Empire Strikes Back is the Star Wars movie because everyone talks about it. And it's a pretty good movie. So if you haven't checked it out yourself, if you have never, which is kind of crazy, but there are people who haven't watched Star Wars, go watch Empire Strikes Back. Or maybe watch A New Hope first, then Empire Strikes Back, because you won't regret it. It's probably the best, probably top 10 best movies ever. So that is my top 12 list. I include a couple other movies that I've seen about once, while the top of the list has movies that I've always seen dozens of times. So what is your guys' list in the comment section down below? Please tell me. I would love to know. That's kind of the fun thing about these top 10s or top 12 lists. You always get to see different people's opinions and get to see where they're coming from. And it's nice to see that, and kind of seeing your opinions on certain things. So I'd love to see your lists in the description down below. Without further ado, if you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that is related to Star Wars. I am Keith, and I'm going to see y'all later, everyone. Goodbye.